Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're getting into something super fascinating, the hidden link between how we physically greet each other every day and the deep cultural psychology running quietly in the background of our minds. Have you ever wondered why just learning the vocabulary of a new language kind of isn't enough to really connect with people? Well, the secret might actually be hidden in a simple embrace.
Okay, let's dive into this. Tell me, have you ever felt that universal, slightly uncomfortable sting of misjudging a physical greeting with someone from a totally different country? Maybe you went in for a hug and they just gave you a stiff handshake. Or, oh man, they went for the warm double-cheeked kiss and you just absolutely froze in place. We have literally all been there. But what if I told you that this awkwardness isn't just about not knowing the rules of a greeting? It's actually about fundamentally different ways that we process human emotion.
Section 1. Meet Atsuko Natalia Hoshi.
To really unpack this, we're drawing on some brilliant insights from the blog of our expert guide, Atsuko Natalia Hoshi. She's the director of the Japan-Brazil Central Association, the representative of H&A Consulting, and honestly, an incredible bilingual Portuguese instructor. But her real superpower? She's a second-generation Japanese-Brazilian, born and raised in Santos, Brazil, and now living and working in Japan. So she has this incredibly unique lived perspective on both cultures. She isn't just observing these differences, she lives them out every single day.
Section 2. A Tale of Two Hugs.
To illustrate exactly what she means, Natalia shares this hyper-specific real-life story on her blog that just nails this cultural contrast perfectly. Recently, she was asked to act as a guide for some friends of an acquaintance visiting Japan. Crucially, these visitors were first-time acquaintances to Natalia. They had literally never met before. So on day one, the arrival, they greeted her with a typical Brazilian-style hug. But because they were strangers, the hug was hesitant, a bit distant, and super polite. Fast forward through a few days of traveling and genuinely bonding across Japan. By the final day, their departure, the hug totally transformed. It wasn't polite and distant anymore. It was this deep, emotional, completely encompassing embrace that basically screamed, "I'm so glad we met, thank you for everything, and I'm really gonna miss you."
And it was that specific transformation that led Natalia to a profound realization. See, in the Brazilian context, a hug isn't just a greeting to close the physical gap. It's actually an act of completely using up the feelings born in that exact moment. That departure hug, it was 100% complete physical transfer of emotion. The gratitude, the joy, the sadness of saying goodbye. It was all poured directly into that physical act, so that absolutely nothing was left unsaid or unfelt.
Section 3. Brazil, externalizing true emotion.
Which brings us to a major psychological paradigm for how Brazilian culture operates, specifically how emotions are actively processed. To show you what I mean, Natalia shares another really fantastic story. She was guiding a family on a different trip, and suddenly their 22-year-old son gives his mother this passionate, massive hug right in the middle of a public store. Why? Because she bought him a new iPhone for his college graduation. Now think about it. In Japan, a 22-year-old hugging his mom like that in public might seem a little unusual, maybe even slightly embarrassing. But in Brazil, that is a beautiful, completely normal, and entirely genuine transmission of gratitude. He felt thankful, and he literally transferred that thanks right there on the spot.
And this brilliantly illustrates the absolute core of Brazilian emotional expression. Emotions are simply not meant to be bottled up. In fact, actively externalizing your feelings is seen as the ultimate sign of sincerity. If you're happy, you show it. If you're grateful, you show it with your whole body. Warm smiles, pats on the back, kisses on the cheek. The entire goal is to completely release the emotion right there on the spot, so it's fully communicated and resolved.
Section 4. Japan, internalizing out of care.
But now, let's flip the script. Let's look at the Japanese paradigm, which runs on a totally different yet equally beautiful set of emotional rules. Think about this for a second. Have you ever noticed that a Japanese person might politely smile or even chuckle while telling a genuinely sad or difficult story? To someone from a culture that heavily externalizes emotion, this can be incredibly confusing, right? You might find yourself thinking, wait, why are they smiling? Do they just not care?
But here is the secret. Internalizing emotions in Japan is absolutely not a sign of coldness. It's not apathy. Actually, suppressing that outward emotional explosion is an act of profound consideration. It's empathy. The speaker is putting a gentle brake on their own emotions so they don't burden the listener with their heavy feelings or ruin the harmonious atmosphere of the room. They are managing their emotions internally so that you don't have to carry the weight of them. When we put these two side by side, the contrast is just stunning. In Brazil, you externalize emotions. You express them outward to complete and use up the feeling. In Japan, you internalize emotions. You complete those feelings quietly, relying on a shared context, a mutual understanding in the silence, and just reading the gaze of the other person. And neither system is wrong, neither is better. They just operate with entirely different rulebooks for handling and finishing human emotion.
Section 5. Mastering Culture and Language.
So you might be wondering, why are we talking about all this psychology in an explainer about language? Well, because these cultural revelations are the absolute key to practical communication. Natalia uses this amazingly powerful metaphor on her blog. She says, language learning requires understanding the software of the heart. Think about it like a computer. Vocabulary and grammar, that's just the hardware. You can have the newest, most expensive hardware in the world, but if you don't install the right software, the machine just won't run. Culture is the software that makes true, frictionless communication actually work.
So the crucial point is this: without knowing whether the culture you're interacting with externalizes or internalizes emotions, even textbook perfect pronunciation is not going to save you from miscommunication. If you want to truly master Portuguese and build real, deep trust with Brazilian colleagues, friends, or family, you have to download this new cultural software. You really need to understand the why behind the words and the hugs.
And this is exactly where H&A Portuguese Schools steps in as a complete, holistic solution. They don't just teach you the hardware, they actually install the software. They offer custom-tailored courses from beginner all the way to advanced, plus intensive immersion courses that are absolutely perfect for expats preparing to move to Brazil. But what really makes them special is their personalized private lessons. They don't just target your specific language weaknesses, they deeply integrate the cultural context, the habits, and those emotional rulebooks we've been talking about today.
If you're looking to elevate your communication skills, I highly recommend checking out H&A Portuguese School's English website. It is specifically designed for non-Japanese expats and foreign language enthusiasts, so it's super easy to navigate and book a free trial lesson. You'll get to learn from bilingual experts like Natalia, who know exactly how to bridge these complex cultural gaps.
I'll leave you with this final thought to ponder. Are you ready to download a new cultural software? Because when you finally grasp the heart behind the language, you don't just learn how to speak, you learn how to truly connect. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I definitely encourage you to go explore the rich, vibrant world of the Portuguese language and Brazilian culture.